Okay, this is video number 3, which is an introduction to drawing. So I'm just going to open up VCarve again. Now, first thing you got to do when you open up VCarve is you have to create a new file. So you can go File, New, right, and you're given this window. It's Job Setup. This is very important to get right from the start, because if you don't, you can cause some mistakes and whatever, and you'd have to run sheets again. So I'm going to go through this in a bit of detail because it's actually quite important to get right. So the two types that we will be using are single-sided and double-sided, and that's literally, so single-sided would be carcass, for example, whereby you're only doing one side of the sheet. You know, doing your drillings and cutting it out, and then you're pushing it off and you're putting the next sheet up. Single-sided can also be used for single-sided doors. And then there's double-sided, and double-sided is primarily used when we're doing two-sided doors. So we'd put the sheet up and we would, you know, pocket a little panel into the back of the doors, and we might CNC out the hinge holes and little small screw holes for screwing in the hinges. And then what we do is we'll be able to flip the sheet over on the CNC and then pocket out the front and cut out the front. So then we have doors that are cut on both sides, ready for hinges. It's quite good. So in this example, I'm just going to do single-sided. So width and height, that's the actual measurements of an 8x4 sheet. Generally speaking anyway, you can measure your own sheets and find out what works, but this is what we've been using for pretty much since day one. It's been all good. And then thickness. Now, thickness is very important. This is the one that if you get wrong, you might cut into the bed. Well, not the bed, into the spoil board, or if you mightn't cut in deep enough. So you've got to be very alert when you're setting it up. So I'm just going to set this to 18, for example. Like we're cutting 18mm board. You know, that could be 9mm, 6mm, 22, 30mm, whatever. Even 40, whatever, for worktops. You know, if you want to cut some worktops, if you're making an L-shaped worktop and you want to do a bit of machining for them to fit, you could do that. Units always millimeters. Z0 position. On our CNCs, it's always machine bed. So on the physical machine itself, we will actually set 0 millimeters in Z, and Z is the height up and down. We will set that 0 mil literally on the top of the spile board, which then when you put your sheet on that you want to cut out, the Z is going to be at the very bottom of that. And we always do machine bed because once the machine is set up, it's always in relation to the spile board. So then if we change from 22, we can use a 22mm program without having to recalibrate the machine. If we go 18, same story. And if we go 9mm, it'll work from bottom up, but it'll start, you know, it'll use a calculation and to start from the top down, it'll offset by that 9mm, 18mm, or whatever we stick in. So yeah, always machine bed. The XY datum position, it's always the bottom left on our CNC machines. I think it's that on most CNC machines anyway, and that basically is the X 0 point, so X in this direction, so the 0 point is there, you see the little red square, and the Y0 is at the very bottom corner as well, so that's there, but that's always the same, that'll never change. And one good thing to know is that once you set this up, every time you open up a new job, the last sentence that you put in here will be the same. So ideally, once it's set up the first day, every other time you come in, you just have to change this here. Okay, but always check it. Always check it. You need to be sure. And then modeling resolution will always set that to very high. And the appearance, that doesn't really make much of a difference. It's just the color of the board when you go into 3D view. And 3D view is where you look at simulations of toolpaths later on. So yeah, that's it. That's the job setup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to briefly go through every one of these and explain what they are. The ones that aren't used very often, I'm going to skip over. I'll just say what they are. But the ones that are commonly used, I will spend a little bit more time talking about. Okay, so start at the top. So new, that is the exact same as new here, the one we started with. Open, you can open an existing file, so if you've worked on a job yesterday and you went home and you come back, you can continue by using that. Save, always save as you go, save every couple of minutes in case the computer crashes or you run out of battery. Import vectors, don't normally use that. Import bitmap, don't normally use that. Set job dimensions and origin. So if you set up the job and then you realize later, oh, I actually didn't set it up right, you can go back into the start where the job setup is. Cut, don't normally use that. Copy, not normally. Well, I'd use the shortcut, which is Control and C. Paste, I would also use the shortcut, which is Control and V. Undo, again, I'd use the shortcut for that, which is Control Z. And redo, yeah, I've actually pressed that button. I don't know the shortcut for that. Yeah, fairly straightforward. And then we've got create vectors. So draw a circle. You go in here, you can either set to draw by diameter or radius. So let's just say I want to do some 5mm drill holes. You can work it that way. You can also input where you want the next one to be. So I'll do 1000 by 1000. And there it is there. Just a quick one. Just going to highlight them. Press delete. Ellipse. You might want to use that if you're making a sign. Don't normally. It's pretty straightforward to do anyway. Square. This is probably the most commonly used one. We do this for making doors. So you can drag a square. That doesn't put any dimensions on it though. So what you can do is I can do a 595, 715, and then all I got to do is click, and then I might want to do 495 for example. I can click. If I have two of them, I can click again. Fairly straightforward. One of the most commonly used drawing functions. Polygon, not really used. Draw star, not really used. Line is used. You might use a line if you're doing V-grooves, for example. Again, you can draw one by clicking and then clicking the next point. Press escape to get rid of it. Now you can also, if you wanted to do a V-groove sheet, for example, next point I might start at 80, and why I do -10 because I want the thing to start off the sheet. So you can see it's already started down below. Now I can bring it up here and click, or I can just go next point. Why I'll go to 450. That'll be up to the very top of the sheet. Just press escape. Okay, very good. Draw a curve, not really used. No, text, vector texture, not really used. Text you might use. Sometimes you might want to stick a company name on the side of a drawer, a wooden drawer, or something on a drawer front, or you might be doing a sign, kind of a one-off thingy. You can draw some text. It's pretty straightforward. Once your text is drawn, like any other shape here, you can then in the toolpaths tab apply machining operations to them. Edit spacing, not normally used. Not normally used. Text on a curve, yeah, that's pretty good. You can draw a curve, draw an arc, and then apply some text to it. Let's do it again if you're doing some signs. Trace bitmap, not really used. It is, so what you can do is you can take a picture of something. I'm making a pelmet for someone, and it's to match an old one, and it has a certain sort of a cutout across the way. It's a kind of a funny shape. So what I can do, I took a picture on my phone of that. I can upload that picture in here, and then this here will actually look at that picture and then trace the outline of what I want to cut out. Now it'll trace it kind of rough. You might have to tidy it up a bit after, but no, it's a pretty good one. You can add dimensions. Don't normally use that. So here we go. Move. That is probably one of the most commonly used ones. You can click into it. If I want to move this here, I can go in and move it. I can move it relative to where it is. So I might want to move it 80 up in the Y, or I might want to move it in the X. Let's say 80. It's gone over. So I'll press Control and Z now just to undo that. Now there's also a shortcut for move, which is M. I use that quite a lot. Brings you into the same one. You can also move stuff by their absolute directions, or dimensions I should say. You got an anchor point as to where them dimensions are from. Now this is just a line, so the Y doesn't change. You can see that moving around. You might want to have something near the bottom, for example. Let's say if I'm doing one door and I don't want to bother nesting it for whatever reason, I can then, let's say I'll put it in 6 from the edges. 6, so it's 6mm up here, 6mm up here. If I want to go from the top, so yeah, so 2, 4, 34, that will be the same. Let's then 6 down, 6 down. So I'll just press undo to bring it back, and there we are. Yep. So that's move, commonly used. Set size, another big one. You can actually physically go in and